Right, I think we'll get started. The session today is being recorded, so if you miss anything in terms of slides or notes, then they will be captured and made available via the Moodle website. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nitin Palmer. I'm a learning technologist at the University of Bath, and I'm going to be facilitating this particular stream today. This particular session. We've got two speakers who will be given about half an hour each, and there'll be plenty of time for questions. We're going to start in the next couple of minutes and go through to about 1 o'clock, but with half an hour for each session, I'm sure we'll put plenty of time for questions and discussions. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to Dirk Pilat, who's from the Royal College of General Practitioners.
Okay, good morning everybody. Thank you for making it. My name's Dirk. During the day I'm a GP, mild and mannered and meek, and at night I fight crime. No, at night I turn into the man with the most wonderful job title in the world. I am the Essential Knowledge Updates Fellow of the Royal College of General Practitioners. It took me a while to learn that by heart, trust me. Clinical lead is probably a nicer version. Just to know who you guys are, who's working in the NHS? Was-ish. 1.5. Private midwives. Proper midwives. Oh, Royal College. Royal College of Midwives. Oh, goodness, the competition. Who's working? Who would consider themselves an educationalist? So that's andragogy and pedagogy, isn't it? Adult learning and kids learning. Good. Who would consider themselves more on the geekier side of things, so for the technology stuff? So really sorry, it's going to be really boring for you guys. I'm so sorry. It's fine. It's going to be boring anyway. Okay. Right now, I work in Stepney. For those of you not in London, that's in the East End. And that's pretty much where social deprivation means chronic health disasters and malnutrition. It's pretty much one of the most unglamorous areas in the country to work in. I have a very racially diverse population. 85% of my patients' contacts are with patients from Bangladesh, which makes it very challenging. Because there's so much medicine to do in so little time with so many people that I really should be on the job and really have good skills to really serve my patients right. Does anybody know what the Royal College General Practitioner does? No. Yes, some nodding, some. All right, we're like a trade organization. We represent the general practitioners in the UK. We train young doctors. We set the standards for the training. We provide continuous professional developments once they're GPs. There's 42,000 members now. And we're still growing. We've doubled our membership rate over the last 5 years. So, big organization. How many members does the Royal College of Midwives have? I thought we were bigger. Why essential knowledge updates? And for how long? In 2007, the college is always a little bit behind things. It's a very conservative organization run by committee. In 2007, slowly but surely, some of the younger members thought, online learning? That would be something that would really be appropriate for our younger members, you know? Computers, the web 2.0, and slowly but surely it filtered through the organization that online learning might actually be rather appropriate for the organization. Why? The General Medical Council stipulates that we have to stay up to date. You don't want a doctor who went to university and then never ever had a look into a book or a magazine. To be correct, they want us to keep our knowledge and skills up to date. We should be familiar with the relevant guidelines. We should regularly take part in educational activities. And we should always adhere to the laws and codes of practice relevant to our work. Because if we don't do that, we end up some of our colleagues in the past decades and centuries sticking things up to our bottoms, letting blood and looking like complete idiots, which nothing much has changed there. I thought I would actually go into the classic general practice look of bow tie and cardigan, but I thought, no, I'll dazzle you. Anyway, so online learning was supposed to be a good idea. Well, one of the reasons for that is that not all general practitioners have the time to just whisk out for an afternoon to go to an educational seminar. If you work on one of the Scottish Islands or in South Devon, you're a single-handed practitioner. You are not allowed to leave your patch. You're on call 24 hours a day for 3 months in a row. That's it. So you can't just go to, I don't know, wherever for a little bit of educational activities. That's where distributed learning, online learning for those members of the college comes in. If I wanted to be up to date all the time, I probably would have to read those every week. All those are magazines. I probably would have to read all of them. That's a lot of reading to do. I start surgery at 8:30 and I leave the practice at 8 in the evening. So there's not much time left for reading The Lancet on the train in the evening. So we had to come up with something that filters the best messages out of all of these magazines, because otherwise, if you just have the magazines around, it's what can happen, what probably everybody else has at home. They pile up in the study, and you look very guiltily at the ever-increasing pile of magazines that's waiting for you. So a different solution had to come. The Essential Knowledge Updates are 6 monthly. We have a new edition every 6 months since 2008, when we had a small pilot. They are representing new and changing knowledge. They're supposed to be relevant for frontline GP and general practitioners, really important, applicable for frontline general practitioners. It's great if you have a wonderful new guideline or a wonderful new piece of knowledge, if you can actually use it for your patients. And it's supposed to be aiding identifying unmet educational needs. But how do you select the content? There's so much stuff out there. If you just look what the National Institute for Clinical Excellence puts out every month, it's literally gigabytes of stuff. So how do you select? Well, we have an information scientist who trawls literally through the data out there with keywords, hashtags, tags, whatever, and everything that's remotely applicable to general practice is being collected in a huge data file. That's a little bit of it. And then every 6 months, she hands that over to me. And I trawl through all the data into all the sources. 200 is conservative. This month is probably going to be 400. And I try to establish which are the ones that are most useful for us. It's not a pretty thing, and my wife constantly tries to avoid me during those weeks of trawling. So I try to end up with about 40 or 50, and then I pitch them to an editorial board made up of 15 academic and eminent general practitioners with an interest in education, and they vote on them. Okay? So after that, I have probably about 20, 25, 30 sources that have been voted upon, and I can then pass them on to a dedicated group of authors. They're all general practitioners, all with an interest in teaching and education. So they take a guideline, have a look at it, and try to distill the essence for general practitioners within 10, 15, 20 small websites or PowerPoint slides. After that, they've all been handed back to me, and forth, and back, and forth, and back and forth, 4, 5, 6 times within an editorial process until I'm happy, and I think this works. We then hand them back through 4 levels of quality assurance. The editorial board comes back to them. They all have a look at them and they all give us comments, what they like, what they don't like. After they go back to me. So I try to make the wishes of the editorial board come to life. Then they're being handed over to a bloke who just doesn't do anything but quality assurance. And then it goes back to me. And then it goes back to our medical director of e-learning who signs it off. And we still have typos. And we still have factual errors even after those 4 levels of QA. If you have that amount of data, small mistakes still happen, but fortunately our readers are very good at spotting. So within the first couple of days, they will tell us that there's typos and that we unfortunately mistook microgram for milligrams. Well, only that happens really. No, don't worry. Doesn't happen that often. Then we put it on Moodle. This is, of course, why we're here. And after hearing the talk this morning, our Moodle setup is, I think the word is antediluvian. It looks sad and old. Unfortunately, we haven't had much money for a proper web designer, and we haven't had much money for a proper Moodle designer as well. So it doesn't look that fresh. Every time I look at it, the 90s do come back a bit. But we like Moodle. Oops, sorry. We really like Moodle because of its ease of use. Once the setup was done, which didn't cost us that much, it was really easy for both me, our director of e-learning, and very importantly, our admin staff. They just got to grips with it, and publishing content, editing content is not a problem at all. It runs on very, very reasonable hardware, I think is the word. It's easy to update for us. It's widespread use in educational institutions, so that was really good for us as well, because we could pinch good ideas from all around the sector. Not much good ideas, but we could at least see how you could do it better. So Moodle is brilliant. Oops, I said that, sorry. Geeky bit, geeks? Yeah, here we are. Sorry, that's the only geeky bit. So we're running it on as I say, very reasonable hardware somewhere in the London Docklands, and we're still running good old Lenny, bless him. And it seems to be working well. We haven't had any problems over the last 3 years with our Moodle installation, not once, even when changing, putting up new updates. There are little glitches sometimes, somebody puts the wrong link in, but we've never had significant outage time, so we're really pleased. So once the updates are on, we also put little quizzes on them, and as the speaker to this morning, the keynote said, multiple choice questions are so out. So we still have them, of course. We still have multiple choice questionnaires in which you can use pre-teach and post-teach assessment, to see how are you up to date with the current guidelines and whether you actually learned something after going through them. And after 3 months, we then have the Knowledge Challenge, which is absolutely brilliant. The team that normally does the questions for the general practice examination comes together every 6 months, has a look at the updates, and distills 50 questions, puts them online, and if you hit 75%, and I tell you, I do the updates, and I have problems hitting 75%, you get a printout, well done, and you can then, at the end of the year, show it to your appraiser, because as you probably know, every general practitioner once a year has to meet a nice man or lady who's going trawling through your educational record during the year. What have you done? What have you learned? Have you learned from your mistakes? How many complaints have you had? How many people have you treated nicely? And this is a really good way of showing that you're keeping up to date with the knowledge. This is an ugly, but probably realistic reflection of one of those updates. You can see those 8 major chapters: learning disability, subjective memory problems. And then we have 20 briefings, which are just little literally 1 or 2 paragraphs with, this is a really interesting article you should read, click on this, and you'll have the whole article for you. This is what it looks like. You see, you've got, in this case, we have about 20 little chapters on one guideline for the management of a very painful muscle disease. And this is wonderful. You probably know about it. Rate this lesson. And boy, do they rate. They all click on that if they like it or not. And at the end of each update, every 6 months, we can actually tell just by the Amazon 5-star rating how our audience found each update. I'll show you the average in a second. This is what a briefing looks like. As you can see, just 1, 2 little paragraphs, and then with a link to the actual original source. Is it working for us? Well, it is. We had 21,500 unique logins in 2010, and the most popular module was visited by 7,500 users. The other ones probably just had a look at the other modules. We only keep them on the site for 18 months before we archive them, because otherwise they wouldn't be new anymore, and people would look at old knowledge, which we really wouldn't like them to. Evaluation, we're currently doing that because it's now 3 years since we went from pilot to a proper program. So what we're doing, we're general practitioners, we love qualitative data. So we're interviewing academic GPs, we're interviewing trainers, we're interviewing remote GPs who are working on Shetland, see how it's going for them and whether they're finding it actually useful. We're getting ongoing feedback from Moodle. Our colleagues are very happy to continuously write us feedback. We have, every month, I get a list of 30, 40, 50 comments in which users just say, this isn't a great module, or didn't like that, or I think you could have put something better there, or there was a typo, or this was completely useless, whatever. And then, of course, we have the Moodle stats and the 5-star feedback. With Moodle stats, we can also check who was naughty and who was nice geographically. And you can see that the Humberside faculty is the most prolific in using EKU, while the Northeastern Scottish, who actually really should use it more because they're so far away, are not as good. This is percentual. This is percentage per numbers of GPs in that faculty. So it's not the actual amount. And this is a classic averaging feedback from the 5-star rating. So you can see that we've been getting better slowly but surely through the years. And we hit our peak in spring last year, and we probably have to just get our act together to get up to date. This is a typical page of feedback that general practitioners then just had a go at us in a nice way or not so nice. 96% of our feedback is positive, I'm happy to say. Some people seem to have a grudge. You always get that, but we're quite happy with the 96%. Any questions? It's Easter. Yes? Yes. Yes. They're medical librarians. So they do have a background of information science, but they also have basic medical training. But they have a set of keywords that they're looking out for. Loads of it is computerized.
But if it's a sort of, groundbreaking new work,
yes.
Should they put a key book today with that as well?
If it would be groundbreaking key new work, I should really know about that as well. I should have at least scanned it in one of my weekly sessions. And if it wouldn't have been there, I could ask the librarians, listen, why didn't that show up? So if it's really something groundbreaking, trust me, in general practice, there's really something groundbreaking, I would probably notice it missing.
Okay.
Or the audience would notice it missing and would probably say after 6 months, why wasn't the groundbreaking things. So it would be picked up. Always remember that there is a whole steering, everything is by committee, and there's a whole steering group at the college only for essential knowledge updates, and it's for professors in general practice sitting on there. It's very, very little missed.
I think it's very clever idea of doing research.
Yeah.
The lab scientists.
Yeah. I call it the, does anybody know Metafilter? Yeah, I call it the Metafilter of medical websites. Sir, in the back.
Wondering whether you get feedback on the quality of the topics
Yes.
and so forth, and whether you get any feedback from the selection of the topics, whether you've got a mechanism for your readership to say, actually, this is something we'd really like to know more about.
Yes.
Or we really don't want another article about that subject.
Absolutely. There's two different strands of this. We have actually genuine clients who would email us and saying, listen, we've really been missing over the last year an article on gynecological issues, for instance. The problem is that we really have to depend on what was published in the last 6 months. We're dependent on the content that was recently been published. If there wasn't anything interesting on gynecology over the last 6 months, it's nothing we can put in there. It's a frequent criticism. We also get emails or calls from lobby groups and institutions saying that, listen, we haven't seen anything on atrial fibrillations or premature birth or in your updates. Can you work with us and put an update in for the next time? And then it's like, sorry, dudes, if there hasn't been anything groundbreaking in the last 6 months that we could put in there, not happening.
So you have no advertising or anything, or sponsorship or anything?
Nothing. It's fully self-funded. The members of the college can access this for free. It's a perk. If you want to access EKU as a non-member, or for instance as an international doctor who works in outside the UK, you can pay a subscription once a year, and you get per year 2 updates with that subscription. We have a nice, nice number of non-members who subscribe. So it's almost self-funding. I think, sorry, sir. Yeah.
Just one question. I work in NHS.
Yeah.
I work with the postgrad school.
Yes.
In Wales. And they've developed a course for educational supervisors.
Yes.
If you're a consultant in a hospital and you want to have students
Yeah.
you've got to pass this course.
Yeah.
They set a target pass rate of 80%.
Yes.
A lot of the consultants were failing.
Yes.
And they were challenged and said, why did you choose 80%? I got 75%, 76%. Why 80%? So who set that target?
That's a very good question, and I can, in this case, I can tell you the target was set by the group of doctors who are running the membership exam. They are used to regularly setting the targets, and in this case, they said for this sort of content, for this sort of audience, 75%. Sorry, I know that there is a chap who does the whole benchmarking thing for a living, and he was apparently asked, and the 75% target came up. But unfortunately, from a purely academic point of view, I wouldn't be able to explain it to you. Sorry. Yes?
Yeah, I was just thinking about
the rabbit. Oh, okay.
There's a scope here from a kind of social learner, isn't there? And it's like you've got all these, someone's quite interested,
Yeah.
you've got content and so on, and you've got people interacting by getting feedback.
Yeah.
Have you thought of developing that a little bit?
Yes.
And there's a question about selection of topics
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Where do you see that going in that direction anytime?
All right. There's 3 strands which we're thinking of pursuing. A, what you said, it would be nice to make actually our Moodle installation much more interactive. So users could actually interact with other users while they're learning. 1. Second is we're already using the content produced by our authors for each update and taking it on the road. So for people who are computer phobes, and trust me, there's loads of GPs who hate sitting in front of their computer screens because they sit in front of their computers all day for 8 to 10 hours, and then they don't want to learn in front of a computer screen. So we're taking the content on the road every 6 months and going through the different faculties and showing users who don't want to be sitting on a computer as in a top-down teaching style with local consultants. So that's the second. That's much more interactive. Third thing is we're thinking about taking the whole thing one level further and doing webinars. that we would have a medium-sized audience, subscribe to webinar, you would have one facilitator, and then of course it would be much more interactive. Everybody could ask questions. Yes, but the interactivity of the online part is something that's next for us. Yes, madam?
How many people would you say would be manageable in an online meeting? Like 50, 100?
That's a really good question. The last webinar I've been at was by Medscape, which is one of the big medical content providers in the US, and I think there was about 30 sitting or in front of their screens, and that seemed to be going pretty well. Always remember that not everybody asks questions, and that's those 30 that seem to be good, which is I think is an okay number.
So you might have 100 people and 30 prep.
No, there were actually only 30 within the seminar, and there was only 4 or 5 people. I mean, but I think if you have 100 people, it gets, and if everybody shouts in their microphone at the same time, it gets a bit tricky.
I think also the webinars have given an awful lot of people
Yeah.
quite intimidated.
Yeah.
They ask a question in front of 100 people.
Yeah.
whereas 30 seems to be a size
It does.
that people somehow deal with.
Yeah. And I think bandwidth-wise, it's a bit easier as well if you just have a limited amount. Okay? Yes?
Have you got an e-portfolio system that sits alongside this?
No. So, no. Unfortunately not, no. No. Thank you very much. Oh, and one more.
I just want to ask you this.
Yes. No, you can't have the rabbit, sorry.
You're doing this kind of scoring, which is great. I
Yeah.
like the idea of scoring stuff. Do you look at any kind of patterns? I mean, you look at the overall pattern and say that you get better
Yeah.
work, but you presumably can look in to see what kind of articles are
Yes.
highly and which are not.
Yes.
Does that do with like the quality of writing or the type of topic or?
I think it's the topic.
What the news or what-
It's the topic. The members don't know which author, or no, actually no, I don't think they go for author. They go actually for the most interesting topic. And in the last one, we had vitamin D was the biggest scorer, and there was just this huge vitamin D epidemic, or still going on through the UK. So that was the most interesting one. Oh gosh. Yeah. That's the Moodle module, yes. I've been told. Cool. Thank you very much. One second. I'll just get out of there. Bloody windows. Here we go.
Close down the window behind it as well.
Okay, one moment. Okay.
I need to close down
Oh, that one.
before you can move down.
Okay. Okay. No, don't worry. We'll try that later.
Yeah.
Don't worry.